Good afternoon, Sales Academy listeners, watchers, YouTubers, viewers, podcast listeners, tweeters, LinkedIners, Facebookers, TikTokers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, chipping in, sharing, commenting, direct messaging, sliding in my DMs. Look at you. Today's subject, today's musing. Let's call it what it is. Stop looking at leaders for answers. That's today's musing. Stop looking at leaders for answers. Now, let me explain this. Let me get into this a little bit further. Um, on a personal level, my leadership kind of focus approach and style from a very young age, and I got into leadership in my very early 20s, has always been this. If you come to me with a challenge, come to me with at least two solutions for that challenge, at least two solutions for the potential challenge. Now, that's not to say that those two solutions are the solutions that are going to work. That's not to say that there aren't 10 other solutions. What it is saying is, I need you to think about this and I need you to give it some thought and I need you to go through some processes, not just come and dump your shit on my desk, because that's not what it's about. At the same time, why would you be coming to me for answers? And as a leader, what I learned very, very quickly was you already have your best answers and I can coach you through the process. So my key format, my key focus, my key remit was to listen. So rather than you coming to me for answers, come to me and let's sit down and let me ask you some questions, because I'm going to ask you questions and listen, and we're going to get to those answers. But stop coming to me looking for them. Because as a leader and as a coach, there is a major part of that with people that they come to you looking for answers. They come to you hoping you're the great white hope to save them or whatever. And it's like, I mentioned this at an event this morning. It's like, the only person I'm here to save is me, right? And I don't mean that selfishly, but what was the old phrase today? Yesterday, yesterday I was clever. I wanted to save the world. Today I'm wise. I want to save me, or yesterday I was clever. I wanted to fix the world. Today I'm wise. I want to fix me. It's that kind of scenario. So if people are coming to you as a leader, and that relationship that you have between them is, what you're doing is you're giving them all the answers. When they come to you, they're expecting the next thing, the next tip, the next trick, the gimmick, the thing that will help them get to that next, whatever. No, they have it. Your remit as a coach, as a leader, is to ask questions, listen, ask more questions, dig into that space with them, transfer that confidence that you have in their ability to them in their own ability. That's a big part of leadership. It's like, I believe in your ability deeper than you believe in yourself right now. I can see your potential, right? It's like, what I'm talking about if you're a leader or a coach. You absolutely know this. But sometimes we fall into that trap of being an expert. Sometimes we fall into that trap of being in a position where we are perceived to be, or societal or whatever. It's like, we should be an expert. So therefore, I have to come at this from a place of knowing and knowledge. Yet when we bring some humility into that and we get humble and we look at it and we go, actually, I think it was Richard Branson said it recently on I don't know if it was recently or not, but with Jake on the High Performance podcast. And he said about, I know what my voice is when it comes to Virgin. I know what my voice is because it's in my head. I hear it all the time. So there's no growth opportunity there. So listening to other people's, what is what is their interpretation of Virgin, what are their ideas, what are their ideas to the solutions, what are their ideas to drive things forward, that brings different voices into the conversation. I know what mine is. It's with me all the time. And it was like, that really landed with me, because it's like, that's what I mean. As a leader, you may be in a position of authority and you've earned that right, but it's not about ego. It's not about you being the person with all the answers. Well, in fact, why would you even bring that pressure on yourself? Why would you invite that kind of vampire in? And no, this isn't a case of just abdication, because part of leadership is also about direction and challenge and being the captain of the ship and setting the compass. And I get all that. The vision, the visionary, all that's important as well. But what I'm saying to you is, as a leader with your team, when people are coming to you, have you nurtured and developed a culture where they can't do anything until they've got the answer from you? They pause, they become paralyzed until they have the answers from you. They're fearful of making decisions until they have the sign off or the answers from you. Or have you nurtured and developed a culture of empowerment, initiative, risk taking? because all of that stuff is where the growth happens. And no mistake cannot be undone. No mistake can, unless you just leave it, but it's like whatever those, I've never actually made a mistake so far that hasn't been undonable, if that's a word or not. There's a mistake right there. I don't care either way. If it's not, I'm having it. But where the fear of taking risks and the fear of making those mistakes and the fear of either being right or wrong or good or bad or seen or perceived to be right or wrong or good or bad just stops us in the first place. So being that leader that encourages that risk taking, encourages that thought process, because when they're coming to you, they've already got an idea, they know better, they're closer to it than you. And this is what great leaders really demonstrate time and time and time again for me. And you see this with, when you see businesses where the CEO goes back to the shop floor and he's talking to, or she's talking to, and they're having all these conversations. And it's like, they realize they've got so far removed from their business, their clients, their customers, their team. They've got so far removed from it that they're making decisions up here that don't really tally. So they bring a lot of that. How are these choices that we think are good choices? How are they actually living out? How are they affecting people? And you see this all the time. It's like recently the government's made a change on childcare, which sounds great on paper because it's like suddenly all these children can now get funded childcare, which brilliant. I think it was a policy with Labour years ago, so I think they kind of brought it back similar, but whether they've upgraded it or whatever, I don't know. I don't stay that close to politics anymore, but I heard of this and I'm like, that's great. How did I hear about it? Because someone I know very much in that space is dealing with that. And what I mean by dealing with it is they're not turning kids away. That's what they want to do. That's what they're there for in their nurseries that they run. But fundamentally, there are still ratios and quotas of how many adults you can have with how many kids, depending on their ages and stuff. So this lovely thing creates a major staffing issue, and suddenly it looks like the individual is being difficult or the nursery is being difficult and stuff. And it's like practically they just can't. And if you want this, you need more space for this age group because of their need than you do with this age group. So how does that work in terms of, so we're getting funding in for this, but actually it's costing us 3 times, 4 times as much to administer? That's not helpful. So it's going to fall on its ass practically because a policy that sounds great up here actually doesn't have the implementation tools here. So have they asked the questions of the people doing it? Or have they gone, we've got a great idea, we're leaders, we know what we're doing? And that I see this too much in organizations. And I say organizations because I'm talking charity, I'm talking government, public sector, I'm talking private sector, where people are challenged, championed to grow, develop, move on, build their career, and they get to positions that, dare I say it, some of them are just way above their station in terms of their ability, but can't admit it or won't admit it or won't do the things they need to do to get there, or they don't have the tools and resources around them to be able to deliver. So they're kind of in a catch-22. But fundamentally, you have a team. If you have a team, then you've got huge amounts of resources within those brilliant people to be able to solve the challenges that you face. Get them involved. Be the leader that listens and asks questions. Don't be the leader that is there waiting for people to ask you for the answer. You're not the Messiah. You're just a very naughty boy, Ad. It's that kind of stuff. What did he say, Life of Brian? You don't need to follow anyone. And then Judith said to him after, that was brilliant. You were so right. We're all behind you. And he's like, no, you've missed the point. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Life of Brian, brilliant. I need to go and watch that again. It's been a couple of years. Fantastic film. One of my all-time favorites. Loads of life and business lessons in there as well. But yeah, don't be that leader. Don't be the leader that is expecting people to come to them to ask them questions because you can demonstrate your knowledge and give them answers. Nurture the answers from within the people that work with you because they've got the brilliance right there. Tap into it. Your life will become better. Their life will become better. They'll feel more empowered. They'll move forward and help drive things forward. And you're not sitting there with the pressure of having to know everything or believing that you have to know everything. All right. There you go. Hope that's helpful. That's today's musing. Came from some conversations this week. And I think it's an important one. So I'm going to pop it out there. I'll see you soon. Peace out.